If you have to work to create the outcome you want, if you have to dig a hole or 10 holes to get a fence up, and you decide to not go back out the second day and dig the second hole because your hand hurts, all of a sudden your fence is never going to be built. You're always going to be wondering, why do my sheep keep getting out of the yard? Or why does this thing happening? Or, okay, what brick wall in your life is not being built? Whatever analogy you want to use of building, what in your life is not being built right now because we are not getting spiritually calloused? What in your life is not the way that you want it to be right now because you're not being the person that you want to become? You're not being the person that you need to become in order to live the life you want to live.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to the Carrot Cast. Now, the Carrot Cast, we're usually diving in doing interviews with amazing real estate investors, amazing real estate agents. Now, in these episodes, every Thursday, they're the Trevor Truck Talks, where you get to hear behind the scenes of the mindset shifts I'm going through as a CEO of one of the fastest growing companies in America, and the mindset shifts you can take to run your business and win back your freedom as well. Let's dive into this episode.
How many times have you hit the snooze button this past week? It's something that I got to thinking about this morning, literally as I hit the snooze button. And I want to talk about spiritual calluses in this podcast episode. It's a term I heard from a guy named Craig Ballantyne, and I absolutely love it. And the reason I'm bringing this up, like I've talked about in some of the previous episodes, we all go through seasons, y'all, right? We all go through seasons. And it's almost impossible. I've never met anyone who doesn't have some level of up and down season. I remember doing a podcast here in the Carrot Cast probably this past year where I talk about when things are great, eventually they will not be great. And when things are not great, eventually they will be, right? And so we always have to keep that in mind, that things change, that things go up and down. The stock market was amazing for a couple of years. Now it's taken a dive. The weather goes up and down. Whatever it is, guys, things go up and down. It's a natural occurrence. And we've got to recognize that. Now, how do we level that out, though? How do you level it out to where things go up and down a lot less often, to where there's more consistency, to where you feel like you've got a handle on your day and on your life better, to where you feel actually happier more consistently because you're not taking these big dips? Well, if you guys have ever taken the Kolbe score, the Kolbe test, Kolbe, you guys will know from my past Carrot Cast episodes why I have every employee take the Kolbe test. It kind of grades how you work. And for me, I'm a very high quick start. I'm an 8 out of 10 quick start, meaning I like to start things. I'll have three half-read books there. And I really have a hard time following through. I'm a two follow through. So 8 quick start, 2 follow through. That's why I have so many people around me who are high follow throughs in my business. And one thing that I really have to work hard on. Now, I know some people who just naturally are more adept to consistency. People that are high follow through tend to have more consistency, I've found. But that's not an excuse. Okay, so for those of you who are visionaries, for those of you who are also high quick start, high quick start, low follow throughs, for those of you who can get distracted easily, for those of you who I've heard the term entrepreneurial ADD, and I don't honestly believe that most people who say they've got entrepreneurial ADD actually have the diagnosed condition of ADD. I think most people who say that they have entrepreneurial ADD just have a hard time focusing because they're so distracted by stuff. Because they're so distracted all the time by their phone, by other stimuli, and they just can't focus, right? And how do we eliminate that? So let me kind of dive into this life truth as I'm heading into the office here this morning, called creating spiritual calluses. Okay, taking the easy way out, y'all. Hitting the snooze button, saying no to that workout. You soften your resolve to do hard things. I talked about doing hard things big time last year in the podcast when I was doing 75 Hard. And go check out those episodes. You can go back in the archives for this past year and go check out the episodes about 75 Hard. I did one specifically on why I did 75 Hard and completed it. Right before I did 75 hard, I rode 500 miles on my bike in the month of December. And I'm not a bike rider, right? I just decided, hey, I'm going to ride every single day in December. I'm not going to miss a day because I need to build spiritual calluses. I need to build up these calluses to where these things that I'm going through as an entrepreneur, these things I'm going through, just as a growing family and as a husband, to be able to take on more and impact more, I need to be better. Right? I need to be better. I need to be able to do hard things more easily. I need to make it to where all these hard challenges and these hard things that I'm going through as our company is growing and hitting certain milestones, and just there's hard things happening at our company right now. As you cross over that 8-figure mark and you cross over 50 employees, things get hard. They just do. And without those spiritual calluses, we'll give up. We'll give up oftentimes. Let me finish reading the rest of this. Okay. So if you hit that snooze button, if you miss that workout, you soften your resolve to do hard things. Life becomes harder. Instead, create spiritual calluses. When we do the hard thing daily, like the cold shower in 75 hard, like waking up early with no snooze button. Okay, waking up that first time, working out every single day, reading the Bible daily, whatever it is that's a hard discipline for you to do, playing the piano daily if you're wanting to learn that. Okay, we become stronger and tougher. Life becomes easier. When we do the hard work, when we don't want to, spiritually, we toughen. Now, what does it mean to have a spiritual callus? Here's my interpretation of what it means to have a spiritual callus. And I got that phrase from a guy named Craig Ballantyne. Been really following him a lot. Love his stuff. And so Craig, if you're listening, man, shout out, buddy. Absolutely love what you're putting out. So spiritual calluses, guys. The way I interpret a spiritual callus is, and let's look at the opposite of it first. Okay, what is soft? What is being soft spiritually? For me, being soft spiritually is not really, I'm not talking about soft in your belief of a higher power right now. Okay, I'm talking about soft in your resolve to do things, soft in your commitment to yourself, soft in your commitment to do hard things. I mean, soft when things get hard, you start to give up, you start to back up a little bit, you start to ask, why me? You start to want to run away, and you start to go, oh, shoot, maybe I shouldn't do this. Maybe because this business is getting hard, I need to go try something else. Maybe because this business is getting hard, I'm going to self-sabotage and I'm going to start to get distracted over here. Maybe because this business is getting hard, I'm going to start to do other things that don't serve me. Okay. And I think we all do that at some degree. Now, having spiritual calluses is over and over. Like, think of working. Think of like picking up a shovel and digging. The only way that you get a callus is by doing it over and over and over again. You don't get a callus from one day of hard work, right? You get a blister. Your hands might get red. They're soft before you do that, right? Your hands are soft before you do that manual labor, and then they get a blister. And then that blister hurts. It kind of pops, right? And in that initial day, you're like, oh my gosh, I don't want to do that again. And then the next day, your hand hurts even worse because the blister is trying to heal. And then you're like, I don't want to go put those gloves back on and go dig that hole again. I don't want to go put the gloves back on and do that physical work because that's what caused this pain. That's what caused this blister, right? And so that's what happens in our lives is we do that thing that was hard one time. We wake up really early because we didn't hit the snooze button. We get tired by 8 o'clock at night. And then you're like, man, I want to watch this Netflix show, or I want to stay up. And you stay up until 10 or 11 o'clock. And then the next day you go, man, I was really, really tired in the morning. I was kind of groggy and I'm just going to sleep in a little bit more. I'm going to hit that snooze button. Okay. And I'll wake up in 15 minutes. And you hit the snooze button again. And then it's all of a sudden 30, 40, 45 minutes later after that initial alarm goes off. And then you pop out of bed. Now you're rushing to get going for the day. That removed the callus. That's the same thing as you going and doing that hard work that first day. And then your hands hurting a little bit. And you go, I'm going to take a break. I'm not going to go do that work that needs to get done. I'm not going to go dig that hole so I can get my job done and get that fence put up, or I'm not going to go do whatever that thing is that you need to do to create the outcome. Okay, if you have to work to create the outcome you want, if you have to dig a hole or 10 holes to get a fence up, and you decide to not go back out the second day and dig the second hole because your hand hurts, all of a sudden your fence is never going to be built. You're always going to be wondering, why do my sheep keep getting out of the yard, or why does this thing happening, or whatever it is that the fence is for. And what fences in your life are not being built right now? Okay, what brick wall in your life is not being built? Whatever analogy you want to use of building, what in your life is not being built right now because we are not getting spiritually calloused? What in your life is not the way that you want it to be right now because you're not being the person that you want to become? You're not being the person that you need to become in order to live the life you want to live. If you've got a picture of somebody where you're like, man, I love how this person shows up in life. I absolutely love the way that they show up. They're consistent. Man, they're posting pictures of their car or their house, or they're making $1 million a year, or whatever it is that you want. We have to pull back and ask ourselves, not like, how did they get that? Okay, not how can I get what they have? We have to ask the question of who did they have to become in order to get that? Who did that person have to become in order to get that versus their previous self? Because in order to get that thing that you want, if you look at me and go, man, I just really look up to Trevor because of these things. If you want what I have, you have to become a different version of yourself. I had to completely become a different version of myself probably 3 or 4 times in this journey. Okay. And I've talked about this one simple one a lot, where for my whole life, I was always pretty messy. Right. It's just there wasn't the expectation when I was growing up to clean my room. I'd do one big cleanup a month and I was there for the entire day in my room. The rest of our house was always very clean, but my parents let us have messy rooms for some reason. Our kids can't have messy rooms. And so I brought that in my adulthood, and my clothes drawers would always be completely messy. I'd fold it once a quarter or something like that. Then I'd finally not be able to find my shirts that I wanted. And so then I'd fold it that day. And then 3 days later, the shirt that I wanted is at the bottom of that stack, and I'd pull it out. That stack would flip and unfold. And then it would be that way. And then 3 months later, I'd get tired of it and do it again. And one day around 2010, 11, 12, I remember waking up one day and just saying, that's not the best that I can do. If I want to become this person who can build a great business, I cannot be messy like this. I cannot have the little things in my life at home messy and expect the big things in my life to not be messy too. Right. And so then I'm just like, well, I'm just going to start here. I'm just going to fold my clothes, and I'm going to make sure that my drawers are always neatly folded in my shirts. And literally 12 years later, my shirt drawer is always neatly folded, has not been neatly folded even one day since then. And every day before that day, my whole life, it was always a mess. And then I noticed my closet. I'm like, shoot, my closet's a complete mess. This is not good enough. The person I want to become who would be able to achieve those things would not have their closet like this. And then I cleaned up my closet. Now my closet's still clean to this day. Okay. And then you start to move to other things like your truck, and then your schedule, and then your desk, or whatever it is. Now I still have some vices. I still have little things that I'm working out. My desk oftentimes has a number of things on it. Okay. My truck, as I speak right now, is in a 3 out of 10 state as far as my usual standards. And the reason I'm going to bring this up, and the reason I'm even talking about this episode right now, is because I've gone through seasons of having amazing spiritual calluses and seasons where I've had terrible spiritual calluses, where those calluses went away. And when the calluses go away, you don't want to do the hard work because it's going to hurt your hands. And you've got to work hard through the blisters to build those calluses up to now you can go out there and do that hard work and your hands are not going to hurt because it's calloused. You can enjoy that hard work more. You can press in and say yes to that hard work more. And here's the cool thing, guys. You know that if you stop doing the hard work, your hands are going to get soft again. And then you know that if you have to go back and do that hard physical work, you're going to have to go through the whole process over again of building the blister, going through the pain, ripping the blister off, having it heal, and then working that callus back up. You have to go through all that work all over again. But you know you can do it. Right. So what are some ways that you can build spiritual calluses? This is something I'm starting right now, guys. I'm going to make the commitment right now with you. Okay. One of those disciplines, I've talked about it for years on the podcast, that I have not slayed yet. I'm better now than I've ever been in my life, especially since we got sheep at the house because I got to get up early and feed them. But I'm better now than I have ever been in my life at waking up early. Okay. So that's kind of been that one dragon that I have just not slayed consistently to go, hey, I wake up at 5 a.m. every day. Well, I wake up at 5:30 to 5:40 every day now versus like 6:30 now, I like that. But it still doesn't give enough time to really have that amazing start to the day, because the kids get up at 6:30, or with the sheep now, the kids are up at 6 o'clock anyway. And so you're just right into the day. Right. And so that spiritual callus, I'm going to start building with you guys. And I want you guys to encourage me. Go to Instagram, trevor.mauch. That's trevor.mauch. If you guys are amazing at waking up early, I'll give you my cell phone number and text me at 5 a.m. and I'll text you back, and we'll encourage each other. Okay. I'm not lying, guys. If there's a person or two out there who you're like, dude, I want to start getting up early too. Or who you do get up early, or you're on the East Coast and I'm on the West Coast, and you're like, you know what, dude, I'm gonna help you through this. Go to Instagram, DM me, and I'll pick a person or two, and we'll do this together. Okay, I'll give you my cell phone, and we'll text each other at 5 a.m. and we'll start cranking on that. Let's build those spiritual calluses together. All right, Trevor.mauch, MAUCH. Hit me up on Instagram, DM me. Okay, another couple ways you can build those spiritual calluses. 75 Hard, guys, that's exactly what 75 Hard is about, is building the spiritual calluses to where it's non-negotiable to move that body every day. It's non-negotiable to read that book every day. And it took me probably a solid week or so, guys, to really build that callus during that period. And it took about 4 days for that callus to rip off when I took my eye off the ball. When I took the gloves off, I set the shovel down, and I said, I'm not going to go out there and dig those holes today. Okay. And now here's a big reason why. If there's no reason to build a fence, right? If you don't have a reason to go outside and pick up the shovel and dig those holes, if you don't have a vision for something that requires holes, if you don't have a vision for something that requires a fence, or if you don't have a vision for something that requires a brick wall, or whatever physical manual labor you want to equate to, if you don't have a vision that requires that work, then you will not put on the gloves, you will not grab the shovel, you will not go do the work, because there's no reason to do it in your mind. Right? Only a crazy person would go out there and just build holes or dig holes for the sake of digging holes, right? But that's what we're doing every single day in our lives oftentimes. That's when we have a hard time building those spiritual calluses, is because we don't have a vision for why we need them. We don't have a vision for why we need to get better. We don't have a vision for why, for where you actually want to go. And that goes back to how I started this episode, which is in this season, when my calluses had come off for several months, right? And I was struggling to get consistent with the things I was consistent for a long time. It was because in hindsight, and I have many episodes on the podcast about this, I'd reached so many of my financial goals. There wasn't a greater goal financially that required me to go out there and do more work, right? And so then you have to uncouple your work with the goal. We have to uncouple our work with the goal. I did an episode recently that's called something like "Your Work is the Reward." Okay, the reward is not the money at the end of the tunnel. Your money is not this big exit. Your work is the reward. And what I had kind of inadvertently shifted into during that season was me going towards a goal, the thing I've talked about for years. And once again, guys, even the best of us can fall into these patterns. We've got to get out of them quickly. In that season, I started focusing on the goal more versus focusing on enjoying the daily work more. And then when you focus on that goal more, you get in the gap, right? You get in the gap versus focusing on the gain. I got in the gap for probably several months, where I was in the gap more often than in the gain. And when you're in the gap and you don't have this clear vision of where you want to go and the person you need to become to do that, then we have no reason to get up and start to build those spiritual calluses. If you've already reached your goals and you're happy, guys, you don't need to become a better or bigger person. You will lose those calluses that got you there. And then you're going to start to slip backwards. And then you're going to start to wonder why you're not happy anymore. And you're not happy anymore because you're not making progress, because you're not growing. And I'm most happy when I have those spiritual calluses. I'm most happy when I'm working hard on something to build something that's hard. I'm going to finish with reading this, and then we're going to wrap up for this episode. Okay? Creating spiritual calluses. By taking the easy way out, hitting snooze, and saying no to the workout, you soften your resolve to do hard things. Every single time we say no to that hard thing, guys, you soften yourself. You soften yourself every single time. Even in your workouts. So let's say you do get into the workout. During this time when I got soft again, okay, what happened was My coach would tell me to do 10 reps and I would do 10 reps. Now you think about that and go, well, shoot, what's a big deal about doing the 10 reps your coach told you to do? During the period when I was on, during the periods when I am on, I don't do 10 reps. I do 10, 11, 12 reps. The coach tells me to do 10, I do 12. Okay. I do one more. I do two more, whatever it is. If you're running, when I was training for my half marathon or doing 75 hard, if 75 hard said I had to work out for 45 minutes, I'd work out for 46 minutes. I would work that. If I worked out for 44 minutes, that softens my resolve. That softens me spiritually, because you're like, that's good enough, right? No, work out for 46 minutes. Okay. If you are working to build your income and you're like, man, I got 10 calls to make today, make 15 calls today. Don't make 9. The 9 softens you. The 15 strengthens you. Okay. If you're going to do content every day and you're going to start cranking it out and you said, I'm going to do content 5 days a week, don't do 4 days a week, do 7 days a week. Okay. Take the commitment that you made and bump it up by 1. That's going to help you create those spiritual calluses. Life becomes harder when we don't. Instead, create those spiritual calluses when we do the hard work, when we do the hard things daily, like the cold shower, if that's what you're into, or waking up early with no snooze, or working out daily, or reading the Bible daily, or whatever it is. We become stronger and tougher. Life becomes easier. When we do the hard thing, y'all, when we do the hard work, when we don't want to do it, spiritually we toughen. You guys, follow me on IG, trevor.mach. That's MAUCH. Hit me up if any of you guys and gals want to work with me on building the spiritual calluses around the wake up time. Let's start moving it towards the 5 a.m. and just really start to build that energy in the morning earlier, build that empire earlier. It's going to be so fun. Hopefully 1 or 2 of you guys hit me up. If 20 of you guys do, I don't know if I'll be able to hit all 20 of you guys up, but maybe I'll pick the first 2. And then guys, if you haven't already, go to carrotcamp.com and get on the wait list for our next Carrot Camp. The Carrot Camp this May filled up in a matter of 48 hours. So we opened up a second Carrot Camp for May as well. That one is almost all the way full in less than a week or so. So we have a couple spots as of the time I'm recording this. Go to carrotcamp.com. And we have them in September. And the September one's going to sell out as well insanely fast. So get on the wait list or submit there. There is an income qualification. Go check it out. But guys, I'd love to see you there. I'd love to help you build those spiritual calluses. I'd love for you to challenge me on this journey as well. We're on these journeys together. I might be 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 steps ahead of you, but we're on the journey of life together. I have struggles just like you have struggles. Okay. And then last thing, guys, go to carrotsummit.com. By the time you listen to this, the Carrot Summit may have already happened. It's our 2-day live virtual event, but you can go to carrotsummit.com and check out the recordings, guys. Pace Morby from A&E's Triple Digit Flip, Diedrich Polite and his wife from their show 50-50 Flip on A&E as well. Tom Ferry, the biggest real estate coach in the world. Tim Brotz, $400 million of multifamily. Krista Mayshore, one of the top real estate agents in America. Tyler Ford, one of our top clients. Tyler Clark from REI Sift, one of our top clients. So many of our top clients and so many top investors and agents from around the world to help you guys elevate your business this year in 2022. Go check it out. You can buy the recordings of the entire 2-day event for under $200. We're going to give you all of the recordings from the last 2 Carrot Summits as well. Go check it out, guys. Now, if you listen to this before Carrot Summit is live, it's March 30th and 31st, 2022. Go check it out live. You can watch it completely for free live or pay for the recordings to get access to those for as long as you want to have access to them. All right, guys. So follow me on IG, trevor.mach. Hit me up. Let's wake up together. Let's build those spiritual calluses. Which one thing are you going to choose this week to start to build a callus around? Is it your wake up time? Is it eating healthy? Is it movement? Is it reading every day? What is it? I want you to pick something today. Hit me up on IG and let me know what it is, and let's work on it together. All right, see you guys.